Hey everyone, my name is Dan and I make competitive Warhammer 40k content. Today we're going to be talking about something slightly different, and instead we're going to be talking about YouTube and money. Specifically, we're going to be answering the question, how much money does a Warhammer 40k YouTuber make? Well, I wasn't lying in the thumbnail. It actually ends out to be about $5 per hour of work. What I'd like to do is talk to you about how kind of YouTube ads work, go into kind of what that means for other channels and what that means for Warhammer 40k tactical content, going forward. So the first thing we have to do is define a couple terms. So once you get monetized on YouTube, getting a certain number of hours and subscribers, you get what's called a playback-based CPM. And CPM stands for cost per milli, which is the amount of money that ad companies will pay YouTube to put ads on your videos. So for example, my CPM is about $15.50. Now CPM is going to vary based on the number of ads you run, the length of your videos, and kind of the topics that you're covering. Someone who makes, tech and beauty products will have a really high CPM, maybe as high as $45, whereas someone who makes video game content might be as low as $2. So I'm kind of in the middle. And then you have what's called RPM, or revenue per milli. And for me, this is about $5.70. And this is the actual amount of money that I get per 1,000 views on my videos. So you can see about 2/3 of the money that an ad company pays actually goes to YouTube and not the creator. When I'm going really hard on pushing out content, it ends up being about 10 videos per month at about 20 hours per week of work. Some months I make more. In August, I make close to $1,000, whereas some months, like December, I'm probably on track to make closer to $600. But if that number didn't already seem small enough, there's a few other things we have to take into account. The first of which is taxes. So this is obviously pre-tax income, and I'm expecting to pay about 25 to 30% of that in taxes. So it used to be about $800 a month on average, goes down to about $560 post-tax. And then I have to pay for a video editing software, Adobe Premiere, as well as thumbnails, which I outsource to people on Fiverr. So 10 thumbnails a month plus that monthly cost of Adobe ends up being about $60 together. That takes me down to $500. And then I have to buy equipment for my videos as well as other things. Whether that means a nice microphone or some random tree that I put behind me on my videos, they're not free. And that ends up being about $100 per month that I invest back into the channel. That leaves me with $400 of take-home money, 20 hours per week, ends up being $5 an hour. Okay, now that we understand the money that comes in from ads on YouTube, let's imagine how many videos we'd have to put out in order to kind of make a median salary in the United States. So now we're going to measure ourselves with the kind of gold standard for success on YouTube for Warhammer 40k content. It would undoubtedly be Auspex Tactics. He has almost 36 million views on his videos, and he's only been producing content for about 2 years. This guy is an absolute madman when it comes to content and is posting videos almost every single day. His videos, on average, get about 26,000 views per video. And if we assume that he makes the same CPM that I do of about $5.7 per 1,000 views, that ends up meaning that he makes about $150 per video. So if we wanted to make slightly above the median salary in the United States, we'll call it $50,000, how many videos would you need to put out? Well, if you divide $50,000 by those $150 per video, you would get about 334 videos. So if you were the most successful Warhammer 40k YouTuber, you would have to be putting out a video basically every single day in order to get that 50 grand. Now, of course, it's not actually going to be very much of a, glorious lifestyle. That money doesn't really take you that far when you have to start paying all the taxes, being a partner of YouTube. Additionally, you don't get any health care, dental care, or any other type of benefits. You don't get any type of vacation, and if you stop making videos, you make no money. So this can be really tough, and it's actually compounded by the fact that YouTube will actually kind of stop promoting your videos after about a month of time. I would say all of my videos get about 90% of their views in the first month, and then they totally drop off. So for example, if I spend 20 hours making a video on Warhammer 40k terrain rules, and I make 50 different slides, pre-plan everything, I might get 10,000 views. And even though that content would theoretically be good for the entirety of ninth edition, I would say I only get maybe 10 to 20 views per day on that video. So essentially that video is not making any more money for the rest of ninth edition. Even some of my most successful videos, like my shooting tips video, which has about 31,000 views, it got 30,000 views in 1 month, and it's got those last about 1,000 views in the past 3 months. So one of the things that kind of pushes content creators too is to not make evergreen content. Why would you spend 40 hours to make a video all about something that's going to last 3 years if YouTube won't show it to anybody after a month? Personally, I don't want to make videos that are like, who won last week's tournaments, or what do I think is going to happen with this next big announcement? Because to me, as soon as, a little bit of time passes, that content is worthless. But in reality, whether it's worthless in a month or it's useful in a month, YouTube isn't going to show it to anybody. I think that's kind of a shame because it really promotes a very kind of churny aspect of YouTube kind of content. And I really think we as a community in Warhammer 40k are missing those pillar type of content. And sometimes I know when I make a video that it's not going to do well at all. If I make a video on what to bring to a tournament, or how to make a display board, or I interview a commissioned painting studio, I know that's going to make no money and it's going to take me the same amount of time as I make a different video. But these are the type of things that I think we as a community need. They're questions that I had that I felt like I couldn't find any answers for on YouTube, and so I just created those videos. So one of my promises to you is I'm going to continue to make those type of videos even though they simply don't do well and essentially are making me maybe $1 an hour in terms of work. So you can imagine how frustrating it is to see lists of comments under my videos saying, I don't like your ads, there are too many ads, blah, 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 because, in reality, if this was my main job, it would be an unlivable wage. And I always think that's kind of crazy that someone's kind of mad at you that you're doing something to, make money. But there's kind of something I haven't talked about yet that I'm sure you've been thinking of, and that's that many YouTubers, their main source of income is actually not their ad revenue. So if we go back to Auspex Tactics, we can see that he makes about probably $50,000 to $60,000 a year in ad revenue. But if we look, he also has a Patreon with almost 2,000 patrons. But if we assume his patrons are just as generous as my patrons, that ends up averaging to about $4 per person. So that means with 2,000 people paying $4 per month, that's about $8,000. It's important to know that's also after the Patreon's cut. And then we take $8,000 per month, multiply by 12, that's about $96,000 per year. So in fact, people like Auspex Tactics make far more money from their Patreon than they do on ad revenue. And we see this is kind of inevitable. If we look at videos from Vanguard Tactics, Art of War, Tabletop Tactics, Tabletop Titans, the kind of biggest tactical Warhammer 40k content creators, we can see that their videos cap out at around 30,000 views. 30,000 views, or about $150 per video, seems to be the saturation point for tactical and competitive Warhammer 40k content. So really the only way to make a living off of YouTube ad revenue is either to put out 360 videos or create other types of revenue streams. And that's why you see people like Vanguard Tactics who have a coaching service. Art of War also runs a coaching service. Tabletop Tactics will put some of their battle reports behind a paywall. Tabletop Titans will answer questions on streams. In fact, just from my kind of estimations, Tabletop Titans probably makes more money in 10 minutes of answering stream questions than they do over an entire week of ad revenue. So now if we look at someone like Miniac, who makes kind of painting and painting adjacent content, you'll see that he actually has an incredible amount of revenue streams. So first off, he has his YouTube channel with ads. He has a kind of second YouTube channel that makes Trapped Under Plastic, his podcast. They both have a Patreon, so that's 4 revenue streams. He has created a Kickstarter, or it's coming on the way, for brushes and paints. He has a stream. He's done commission artwork. He's sold painting online classes and models, and he's done in-person classes. So that's almost 9 different streams of revenue. Simply put, the amount of people who watch Warhammer 40k videos is not going to enable you to live a life and live off of that ad revenue from your videos. But for someone like me who has a little bit smaller Patreon with about 20 people, that only adds up to $80 per month. So I'm incredibly thankful for all of my Patreons and the support they give me, but that still averages out to about, $5.80 per hour now. So I have a few options here. The first of which is to kind of go towards a little bit easier to make content and just try to push out a video every single day in order to bump up my ad revenue. Or I can try to make extra content and put it behind a paywall and classes and put it behind a paywall. My promise to you is that I'm not going to do either of those things. I'm going to keep trying to make the high quality content that I do that's pretty heavily edited. I don't think you guys realize this, but one video that's 20 minutes long probably takes about 10 to 15 hours to make. Before I make any video, every single slide is made. I've even gone through the effort of writing literal word for word scripts before. I don't think that's worth it though. But my kind of promise to you is I'm probably not going to do either of those things. I'm going to make the content that I think the community needs, whether or not those are low view content topics, and I'm going to edit them and try to push out, a few videos per week. If that means that I can't live off of the YouTube income, then that's what it means. But nothing's going to be behind a paywall, and I'm not going to start making content just for the sake of money. So I hope that answered your question about how much money Warhammer 40k YouTubers make, and I hope you have a better understanding of why content creators do the types of things they do. Have a wonderful day and some wonderful holidays.